The Bucs' aggressive play was rewarded.
Fournette, the running back. 8 seconds, 7 seconds. Brady to throw, throws a deep pass downfield. Got Scotty Miller in the open, makes the catch. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Scotty Scooter Miller, and Brady puts it right on the spot. Bucs score with no time left, or very little in the first half.
Yeah, to me, this game really came down to 2 plays, guys. When you look at that play, that touchdown to Scotty Miller right before the half, where Tampa was ultra aggressive to be able to take a shot down there, not trying to put yourself in field goal range, but to anticipate a look you might get, and you get the matchup you want with Scotty Miller on King, and you can't run with him. So he just runs right by him. Brady puts it on the money. And it was that attacking, the old Bruce Arians, the no risk it, no biscuit, play aggressive in those big games. Conservative plays never rewarded. And you saw that example. And then at the end of the game, which, I think we got to talk about, is the fact that they took the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands inside the 10-yard line, 4th down. Instead of giving him an opportunity to try and get a touchdown, get the 2-point conversion, and have the game be decided by your best player and the best player in the NFL, you took it out of his hands, you kicked the field goal, and now you're asking your defense to try and keep Tom Brady from getting a couple first downs. I absolutely hated that decision.
DJ, it's funny because you talked about the aggressive play and no risk it, no biscuit. And I think that applies to the way the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play in general on offense, defense, and special teams. You talked about the offensive play, Tom Brady really taking a shot at the end of the first half to maybe see if they could put a cheap 7 points on the board, and it worked. Now, I would say that Kevin King has to know better. Situational awareness tells you that at that point of the half, you don't want to let the ball fly over your head. Give them 5 yards. Let them kick a field goal. But you can't allow Scotty Miller to run past you and to give up 7 points. And so, yes, Bruce Arians was rewarded for his approach. And I think when you look at the way Todd Bowles came after Aaron Rodgers, not necessarily with all pressure, but the way they hugged up, manned up, played 2-man, and played very aggressive on all the underneath things, I think it plays to your strategy of no risk it, no biscuit, be aggressive.
Yeah, that fits right in, right? The offensive strategy there late for the Bucs at the end of that first half, kind of matches with their defensive philosophy all year long, and Todd Bowles' philosophy as a head coach, which is be aggressive, get after the quarterback, and they did. Those 5 sacks, Shaq Barrett with 3 and Pierre-Paul with 2, those helped save the game in the second half for the Bucs. You go back to the second interception that Brady threw, and it was a sack that helped end and force a 3-and-out for the Green Bay Packers. Then on the third interception, another sack and a couple of incompletions helped force another 3rd-and-out. So they saved the offense's bacon and Brady's bacon on those last 2 interceptions with some pressure and with some timely plays on defense. And just rising to the occasion when they needed it. The other thing I thought was really interesting, just to kind of celebrate Brady here a little bit. 43 years old before the season started. He's now making his 10th Super Bowl appearance after playing in his 14th conference championship game. He's got more playoff wins than all 3 of the Packers' Super Bowl quarterbacks in their history combined. Bart Starr, Brett Favre, and Aaron Rodgers. But still, do you remember? I don't know if you guys watched Game Day Morning on Sunday, but Steve Mariucci did an interview with Bruce Arians and asked Bruce if Tom, the GOAT, the greatest player to ever play in the history of the National Football League, is still coachable. He said, yeah, you better believe he's still coachable. He wants to get better every single day. He's asking me every single rep, what'd you see here? What'd you do? But I thought it was kind of cool. And that he mentioned that every day, every practice, Brady and quarterbacks coach Clyde Christensen go through what they call, they go to the drive-in range and they spend 20 minutes on fundamentals alone. And I'm just thinking, if this is the best player in the history of the NFL with that level of attention to detail at that advanced stage in his career, man, that's a lesson to be learned there for a lot of kids out there.
No doubt. And I want to give you a couple stats here, Buck, and then you can get yourself to your next takeaway. But I want to see what you think about this. Bucks start out 7-5. They're 7-0 since then. And if you look at the numbers during that period of time, wins most, obviously, points most, the sack margin plus 10 since then with Pierre-Paul and Shaq Barrett's 5 sacks yesterday added to that total. Points off turnover margin, plus 42. You go down here, takeaways per game. They've had 12 takeaways in 7 games. Only Washington of the playoff teams was better there. Field goals, 14 out of 15. I mean, literally over the last 7 weeks here, they're playing better than anybody, and that includes a team they're actually going to play here in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, DJ, it's phenomenal the way that they've steadily improved. And Red, I think what you bring out in terms of talking about Tom Brady going to the driving range, the fact that he spends 20 minutes working on his footwork and fundamentals with a coach each day, I think that then rubs off on all the other players. Because if the greatest of all time can go and is coachable and is willing to spend the extra time working on his game, who am I to not put the extra time in? And then what you do is you create a culture where you have everybody doing extra.
Culture of accountability.
And then you get the extraordinary results. And so that's what Tom Brady has brought, because, look, the last 2 weeks in the postseason, he hasn't played at an A level, but his presence and what he has done to really kind of raise the standard in Tampa, I think that matters a lot more than his performance on the field, particularly in the postseason.
Buck, I want to get this quote here because I want to make sure I get it right, because we actually had this up in our draft room in Baltimore, and it was Tony La Russa. Do you remember that one? I'm trying to find the best one here. It says when your best player is your best worker with the best character, you've really got something special. Now I'm kind of paraphrasing there because I can't find the exact quote. We had it up in our draft room, and it was like, man, when you have that, and we've all been around guys like that. I mean, Ray Lewis was the same way, just in terms of the work that he put in. It was like, man, if that guy's doing it as good as he is, then what the heck what's my excuse if I'm not going to put in that type of work? And it did. One guy changed the entire culture of that whole team.
And that's not to say, guys, that there aren't other quarterbacks out there that are putting that time in with that fundamentals, but it means something different. It plays differently when you're talking about a guy who has won as much as he has. I mean, like, I don't think at this point he's an ascending player. You know what I mean? If anything, he's descending, but still to continue to fire through that routine and grind through it. I think in that case, belief for the Buccaneers in Tom Brady and creating a culture of belief was a tangible thing. We talk about it being one of those intangibles a lot with leadership at the quarterback spot. But I feel like what he brought to that organization and that franchise was a belief in it. And I feel like this postseason and this year, it's been a tangible thing in wins and losses.
Red, what you're alluding to is what we call a thermostat leader, meaning when they walk in the room, the temperature rises because of how they're able to change it with their presence. That's what Tom Brady was able to do.